Tesla pricing is going to change in the next half a year or so. If you're here in the United States, the news is pretty good. If you're in the province of Ontario in Canada, not so good. I'm going to tell you guys about these changes that are mainly to do with the tax credits and not actual pricing that Tesla puts out. That should probably still be the same in the next half a year. There are also a few other things to talk about it, so let's get going right now.
Taking over the world, electrifying the world, Elon in a track.
Thank you to those of you who are watching me live on Patreon. That's one of the perks. Thank you for supporting the show and keeping the show independent and balanced. And of course, if you're watching me on YouTube, welcome. If you want to stay up to date on everything that's going on in the world of electric cars, you came to the right place. So just hit the subscribe button so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, let's talk about tax credits. All right, let's talk about the United States first. Tesla is kind of officially coming out. Well, they didn't put out a statement, of course. People found it on their website that got updated. So it looks like they kind of pulled it off. They delayed the sale of 200,000 car here in the United States until this month. And so the tax credit of $7,500 is going to start phasing out and basically January 1st. So for the rest of the year, if you're buying a Tesla, most likely like me, I'm actually going to start hunting for one in the next couple of months, we'll get a full $7,500 credit. Now, after that, it will be cut in half, go for another 6 months, then cut in half, which is essentially 25% of what it is right now for the rest of that year, and then completely gone in 2020. Now, there's a bit of a interesting thing developing here. A new House bill is introduced by Peter Welch here, the congressman from Vermont, who's actually scheduled to be on the show on this Saturday. So, but you know, if I don't get bumped, well, I'll be talking to him a little bit about the bill, and the bill is about actually removing the production numbers cap on this and just putting the time cap, because obviously companies like Tesla and Chevy very soon and a Nissan that are going to be facing this phase out, basically essentially going to be punished for being one of the first ones to innovate and bring the electric cars to the mass market. And by the way, both Tesla and Chevy are American companies. So this bill actually does make sense. He might also be making it into a rebate and not a tax credit per se. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I get to talk to him. He'll tell me a little bit more about it and what chances it has to actually making it at least to the floor of the House to that's going to be up for a vote. But it's definitely a good thing. And I hope it moves forward. But we don't know. Okay, so if that happens, obviously never mind any of this. But for now, the tax credit will be phased out starting January 1st of next year. Now in Ontario, it's a different story. In Ontario, Canada, the province of Canada, they had a pretty generous tax credit of over 10,000 American dollars. I think it was 14,000 Canadian dollars, and that was a big help. It was pretty much one of the most sold provinces for Tesla. Well, the Ontario election was won by Ford the other day. Not that Ford. That Ford, Doug Ford. This is the guy who won it. By the way, for a second, I bet you thought, oh, yeah, the province of Ontario in Canada is going to be controlled by Ford Motors. Close, but no. This guy is a conservative. They basically decided they're going to get rid of this tax credit altogether. And by the way, guess why? The reason for that is because they want to use that budget that this is coming out of to decrease the prices of gas. So essentially, if you're hearing me right, and I think you are, is that they're cutting down on really eliminating the tax credit for green energy cars, so more people can drive and buy gas, the fossil fuel product. But that's happening. So sorry about that, guys. You're going to have to pay the full price. Or I don't know, figure out if you have a relative in another province that still has it. All right. Well, so that's definitely going to shape the Tesla prices in the next year. Yeah, there's more news. Some of it is about Model 3. Some of it is about Jaguar I-Pace. So let's me move on To that, of course, before that, I want to remind you that this show and this channel is sponsored by Evanex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla. There is a discount code for you guys in the description of this video, so you can save yourselves a few bucks if you're going to shop there for your Tesla Model S, Model X, Model 3. Have at it. All right, speaking of Model 3, as you know, they've met their goal that they set and reset, but nevertheless, 5,000 Model 3s per week. I just did a show yesterday about how people are doubting that's going to happen. I think it's going to happen just fine. And Elon Musk was interviewed by Bloomberg Businessweek. Elon, come on this show. Why do you keep going to... never mind. It's not going to happen. But yeah, so he was giving an interview to Bloomberg Businessweek out of all media, and he basically said that they're only a half foot, I think he said, in the production hell. They're getting out of it, and he believes that in about a month they're going to be almost fully out of it. They are aiming to get to 10,000 of Model 3s produced per week by the end of the year or sometime next year, I think. But it looks like they are... Obviously, the next step of the ramp up is not going to be as aggressive, definitely much more comfortable for them. And as they're going to sustain this 5,000 cars per week production, obviously things will get better and easier on them, and they deserve a break, of course. Let's move on to Jaguar I-Pace. As you know, Waymo has ordered 20,000 of these, 20,000 of I-Paces that will replace not replace, in addition to Chrysler Pacifica, which is, I believe, is a plug-in hybrid. They received, here in San Francisco, they received 3 of the Jaguar I-Paces. Apparently they're driving around. I might check. I'll be in San Francisco tonight. And yeah, they did not put all that equipment on it just yet. They're just basically testing it out, seeing what equipment and how they're going to install it on those cars. But it's exciting. They're here. I haven't seen my I-Pace yet, my first I-Pace yet. So I'm looking forward to maybe checking it out because this is one of the cars I was really considering, buying at the end of the year. But now that I'm having my doubts. I'm probably going to, go for a Tesla Model S as the first car and a Chevy Bolt as the second car. So that's exciting. And also Tesla is apparently, again, they don't announce stuff like that. They just people reported online, but this Founder Series Powerwall 2, have no idea why it's called Founder Series, by the way. With their cars, these usually the cars that are first 1,000 or whatever. They're the same color though. But yeah, no, this one is something that people can get through the referral program. If I think you reached 5 or something. Anyway, I reached that level like almost a year ago. No word from Tesla whatsoever. You don't know where your price is. They've delayed other prices as well. I think the wheels took me several months. No communications. You guys know I'm not a big fan of the referral program or how they handle logistics, but apparently they're shipping it out to people. Looking forward to mine. Don't know what I'm going to do with it just yet. But but besides the signature, which I don't think is actual handwritten signature of Elon, it's just maybe an engraving, and the color is pretty much the same as a Powerwall 2. But nevertheless, really, really cool. Looking forward to seeing more and more of them installed. All right, let's move on to a comment of the day. Of course, the first one I want to talk about is a new Patreon, Curtis Chung. Thank you so much for becoming a Patreon. As a matter of fact, subscribing to more than the maximum $5. $6 a month, so you get to watch me live. Thank you so much for doing that, supporting the show, and making sure that I stay independent. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. The next one is I have two comments of the day. This one comes from Armor Guard, who says, "Okay, please stop calling it a tent." And he's talking about the structure where the third assembly line for Model 3 is. Please stop calling it a tent. A tent is usually made from a blah, 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 blah. Not a tent. Thank you, says Armor Guard. Okay, listen, first of all, who cares? Really, who cares what anyone's calling it? And I don't even remember why I started calling it a tent. Yeah, somebody must have said it somewhere, and it was tent or giant tent or something like that. Anyway, it will probably come back to me. But the bottom line is, who cares? I don't understand why sometimes the comments here have nothing to do with anything. It's a building a structure. I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna continue calling it tent, if you don't mind. Well, I think that's just kind of stuck for some reason. But thank you for commenting. I wish we had another, you know, a conversation more about substance, but whatever. But the second comment is about substance. Simon Lee says, I agree that you're the most unbiased CV reporter on YouTube, next to perhaps Transport Evolved. Absolutely love Nikki. Watch her show all the time. Condolences to her on the loss of her sister. If you guys didn't know, please check out her latest video and send her any kind of messages if you wish. Our thoughts are with her on that. But yes, absolutely awesome show. We did what, 3 or 4 collabs, met her in person. Love Nikki, basically. On another note, says Simon, reading comments on your video has made me realize that I'm not a true Tesla fan. I only wish I could angrily mash my head on my keyboard, as well as some of the true Tesla fans out there, although I agree. Okay, so first of all, I think you mean Tesla fanboys, right? That's a little different. I'm a Tesla fan. You know, I'm an Elon Musk fan, but I criticize Tesla all the time for some, you know, things that as a customer and as part of this community, I find either not acceptable or not up to par, or sometimes flat out damaging to overall electric car movement, unfortunately, and I call them out for that. And by the way, don't worry, Tesla fanboys don't really watch this channel. They've unsubscribed a long time ago and ran away to other channels for hugs and kisses and therapy. But yeah, so you can still be a Tesla fan and be critical. I think, as a matter of fact, I think that's overall what Elon Musk wants, and I think that's what means to be a true fan. You know, holding the brand or person who you're a fan of to a higher standard. Now, a Tesla fanboy is more like a cult leader, you know, cult follower, right? The previous guy, for example, that sounded more like a Tesla fanboy, right? Because he's accusing me of basically something that really doesn't really matter, but maybe it gives Tesla a bit of a negative sort of a vibe, even though Elon Musk, the leader of Tesla, definitely was the first one to use that word tent. And yet the facts don't really matter, as long as anybody who says a little bit, you know, negative stuff about Tesla is an enemy and must be destroyed. So you're not a Tesla fanboy, Simon, but you can definitely still be a fan just like me, and there's nothing wrong with that. And thank you for your comment, of course. All right, guys, tomorrow is Friday, so one more news show. On Saturday, I'm still hoping to have Congressman Welch on my show, but just like I said, it's really to get easy to get bumped with this type of the interview. But I have another one just in case, and it will be just almost as good as one of the other really awesome social media influencers, I guess, who I really like. So we're gonna tape that interview actually tonight in San Francisco, so that should be fun. All right, guys, I've said too much. All right, have a great day or evening, wherever you're watching me from. Other than that, see you next time, and remember to stay charged.